Okay, Allah, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ibn Hussein. Okay. So,
Salam.
so I am not a Muslim. I am a Jew, and I've watched some of your videos on your own channel in the Sunni defense, and this is very educational on the ideology of the 12 Shia, right? So essentially, essentially, right, I want to know what from you, at least, for what knowledge can you give us about generally Ibn Saba, his historicity, right, and essentially his influence on 12 Shiism, specifically in the case of whether or not, like, what elements of maybe Judaism you thought came out of a dish, and there are elements from foreign religions. But also, I'm asking because many of the 12 Shia like to essentially blot out the idea that he is a historical figure and attempt to create him as a propaganda piece, as a propaganda piece made against the Shia Ali ibn Abi Talib, right? So yeah.
Okay. Bismillah. So you guys can hear me? Shall I respond to this one, inshallah?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Bismillah. So pay good attention, guys. Abdullah ibn Saba. Abdullah ibn Saba is a historical figure that has existed without a shred of doubt, but the agreement of all Muslim historians, including Shi'i ones, early major Shi'i authorities. This is number one. Number two is that the only people who deny his existence altogether, and please do not unmute, I hear some weird strange sounds. The only people who have denied his existence altogether are some 12 Shia revisionists. All these people who doubt clear-cut matters of history, mainly from the Khomeinist camp, from that camp mainly, this pro-Iranian regime camp. Some of the scholars have written books to completely deny the existence of the Mahdi. Of course, they have embarrassed themselves. All their books have been refuted by scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and the existence of Ibn Saba, Abdullah ibn Saba, the Jew from Yemen, it can be proven even from the books of the 12 Shia. And Nawbakhti's book and other early Shia books of Hadith even. Now here it gets interesting. Here you have to pay attention now. Of course, would you expect any Trinitarian, the so-called Christians, the Nasara, would you expect any of them to admit that they are followers of Paul? Would you expect that they would admit that they are upon falsehood and that their kufr, their heresies, their zandaqat, and their ghulu, their over-exaggeration with Jesus Christ first and foremost alayhi salam, and with his mother Lady Mary, Maryam alayhi salam, and with the awliya, the saints, would they admit that all of this stems from an extremist, heretic, pagan named Paul? No, they will not admit that. However, this is our position towards them, isn't it? We believe as Muslims, and even other non-Christians believe that, even Jews believe that, but we believe as Muslims that modern day Christianity is the result, not all of it, but the essence of it, the seed of it is not Jesus Christ's seed. It's the seed of Paul. And as Muslims, Ahl Sunnah, we believe that the seed of Tashayyu in its extreme form, in the form of Rafd, rejectionism, Rafidism, the essence was laid down by a Jew. Now here is where our opponents, the 12ers, the more knowledgeable ones, the scholars and some of the polemicists, speakers, and the laymen, they either misconstruct what we say or they unfortunately act stupid. They say things like, wait a second, we don't take any fiqh from Ibn Saba. Here's our books of fiqh. There's no Mr. Ibn Saba among them. There's no Ayatollah Ibn Saba. There's no Sheikh Ibn Saba. Where did we take fiqh? We take from Ahlul Bayt alayhum as-salam. Our response to them is, of course, the early Rafida were smart enough and not not to tell the gullible that what you have been given, fed with, is Ibn Saba's concocted soup fabrications. Of course not. They were told that what they have received, what they are upon about, is madhab Ahl Bayt, the school of Ahl Bayt. And far from it. A'udhu billah, that Ahl Bayt were upon the kufr and zandaqa madhab of the 12ers. Now the question, now after this small introduction, I don't want to turn it into a whole dars lecture, but it's important now. After this small introduction and important points, the question was a good question. He said, the brother or the friend, our friend asked, what have they taken then from the Jews and stuff? They haven't taken literally any salah or literally any well-known Jewish ritual, although in some matters there are similarities. And not every similarity is condemned. Some people say, yeah, Jews pray as well, and Jews affirm Moses, that Moses was righteous. No, not every similarity is condemned. That's a logical fallacy. If we say, oh, look, they do something that Jews do or do. Not every similarity is condemned in belief and in rituals. However, what Islam has not sanctified, and if that is done by any Muslim or any sect in the name of Islam, that action, that ritual is condemned. Not merely because it's done or believed by Jews, because Islam hasn't sanctified this belief or even rejected that belief. For example, the 12ers claim there's no authentic narrations about Ibn Saba, and that's all from Saif ibn Umar at-Tamimi, from Tabari's book and whatnot. You know Tabari, the same book, Tariq book, that they usually love to quote without verifying anything. Suddenly when it comes to Ibn Saba, they become hadithists, which is alright. It's good. They should learn that not anything from books of Tariq like Tabari's book, Tariq al-Tabari, and books by Suyuti and Ibn Kathir, not everything. Everything needs to be verified. Everything needs to be verified, except like, matters that are not of great importance, like color of a flag and whatnot. Yeah, a number of people in an army. There, the hadithists, the hadith scholars are lenient. But when it comes to creed, aqidah, hurma, sanctity of the Sahaba and Ahl Bayt and the Prophet, you need to verify. So do we have Sahih narrations about Ibn Saba in our books? Yes, we have. We have Sahih hadith narrations. Now, to make it short, otherwise it will turn into a lecture. We have Sahih narrations. And now, what is it that makes them Sabaites, according to the scholars? Well, Ibn Saba was a Jew who was known to go around and claim that the Prophet ﷺ, Ali is his only successor, direct successor. And he went around and claimed that Ali curses Abu Bakr and Umar, hates Abu Bakr and Umar, / And our narrations, Tariq al-Dimashq, and so on and so forth, we have narrations authentic from Ali ibn Abi Talib where he cursed this man. He cursed Ibn Saba. Why? Ali cursed him because he attributed lies to him. He over-exaggerated with Ali. Not just because Ibn Saba, that's a misunderstanding many Muslims have, including many Sunnis. They think Ibn Saba is someone, he was just, Ali opposed him just because he claimed Ali is God. This is true, he did claim this, and that's, I think, in Bukhari or Muslim, and Ali burned the Sabaites for that. Anhu. Ali bin Abi Talib burned the Sabaites for it. This is true, but this wasn't his only crime. His crime was also that he claimed that Ali is the only successor of the Prophet. Like the Rafida, like the Imamites. He claimed that Ali does bara'ah. He disassociates himself from Abu Bakr and Umar. This is the belief of the Rafida. So you understand? This is the essence, the foundations laid down by Ibn Saba. That is why, from our perspective, Ahlul Sunnah, we say the 12 Shia sect, its spiritual founder, the spiritual founders were not the Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. The spiritual founder was Ibn Saba. And this is about it. I wrote a detailed article about this. Everything I mentioned with evidences, you can see in my article. I'm going to give the link to the brother, and then the admin, he can share the link with you guys, and then you can study it in more detail.